Good morning, friends. Welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. My name is Caitlin, and today is going to be such an exciting day. So I just got back from a week trip out west, and I actually went over when I start a lot of my plants. So where I am, the rule of thumb is you can start a lot of your seeds, your peas, your carrots, your beets. You can kind of get all that in the ground around St. Patrick's Day. And around St. Patrick's Day, kind of the week after, is when I typically get my garden together. I get all the weeds out, I start laying my mulch and my wood chips in the paths, and I kind of just start getting the garden together. And we're now at the point, it's just a couple days before April, where my brassicas can go in the ground. I have beautiful brassicas that we need to harden off yet, but they can go in the ground any day at this point. We're getting just a couple of light frosts here and there. Brassicas can handle light frost, and if we were to get a big frost yet, I could cover them with some buckets or some towels, bed sheets, anything like that. But we can officially put those guys in the ground anytime at this point. So I got back from my trip and I decided I needed to take a break just to focus on the garden. So I have the next 5 days off and I am so excited. So we're going to do so much in the garden. We have a ton of weeding we have to do, getting the beds prepped to be planted. We have, I got a green stalk last year we got to fill up. I have soil delivery we have to move into the garden. So we just have a ton of stuff that we're going to be doing together over the next couple of days, getting the garden prepped and ready for planting. And I cannot wait. But it is early in the morning, and before we do anything, we need coffee. Now I got my coffee made. It is delicious. So good. Now I start my mornings every morning with coffee. I go watch somebody on YouTube, and then we'll get started in the garden. So we'll be right back. Okay, my coffee has been drunk. So now we're going to come and we're going to look at everything that we have to do in this garden today. This is going to be a couple-day process, but I'm so excited. It's supposed to be 60 degrees today and gorgeous, and it's going to be a great day to spend in the garden. So one of the first things we have to do is we have to pull out all of the extra plants, pull out all of the weeds out of this bed. This bed has really bad termite damage, you can see, so this bed we're actually going to completely take out. And then in this space, I really want to get a really pretty focal point. I wanted to find an old concrete fountain that maybe didn't work, had a crack or something like that, and wasn't, I guess you could fix the crack, but I saw a Pinterest image where they had a beautiful multi-tiered concrete fountain, and they filled it with flowers and succulents, and it was gorgeous. I thought that would look so good right here, but they're a couple $100, so I'm not doing that. So I decided I want to put a focal point here, because this bed's going to go away, and it's right when you walk in through the gate. So I really want to put something pretty focal there. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. But I have a ton of weeds in here, and then this is my Tabasco plant that I never actually harvested any Tabasco plant or peppers off of. So that puppy has to come out. And then this is my Swiss chard bed and a lot of weeds. I gotta dig all of these weeds out, get all of the Swiss chard out over the bed. And basically just all of these beds, you see a lot of green. The green is weeds. Nothing's actually planted in here yet. So I want to get all of that done. And then we're actually going to go to Lowe's now and we're going to get some cardboard to cardboard all of this area. You can see there's already a ton of things growing over here. So I'm going to get a whole bunch of cardboard, some big boxes, and we're going to lay them down. And then we're going to put soil and mulch over them to try to keep the weeds down as much as possible. So that's the first step of the plan today. Second step is we want to move this trellis. This is my bean trellis. And we want to move my pea trellis. We're going to get those two trellises moved. And then I think the last thing I want to do is set up my green stalk. So I got a green stalk for strawberries this year, and I just ordered my strawberries. And my strawberry green stalk is going to go right here. And it's going to grow up right beside the gate. So I want to go ahead, I think, and get that filled, and then maybe get my lettuce tower filled, and maybe even plant my lettuce seeds today. I don't know. We have a lot to do. We got to pick up my chair. My chair blew over in recent wind. So we have a lot to do today, but I think it's going to be such a fun day. So first stop, Lowe's for some cardboard and a couple of other things. And then it's time to get started. Okay, I have all the animals out. I have the dog and the cat out on the deck. I just opened the cage for the bunny. I got my cardboard. I got all the things I need to get started today. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start just with getting all these weeds out of the way, all the plants. That's the first. And that's unfun. I'm not looking forward to this part. I'm excited that we're working in the garden. It's a beautiful day, so we get to take in some sun. But I'm not a huge fan of pulling weeds. But we got to do it.
It never fails that by the end of the garden season, I'm done with the garden, and I have never left this many plants in the garden before, but this year I was just tired. And that break-in made me a little sad. I didn't realize that that bed was so far gone. I thought just the one at the bottom of this image was the bad one, but that one needs replaced too, so that was an unhappy find. This is the bed I planted carrots in last year, and I always overwinter my carrots. I've never had any issues, but I do think that this year I planted my carrots too late, and then I probably didn't honestly water them enough. Again, by the end of the season, I'm tired. I always say I'm going to plant a fall garden, and I never have. I have yet to actually plant a fall garden just because I'm so exhausted. I'm tired of canning. I'm tired of preserving. And I'm just tired. So now it's a gorgeous day though, and I'm excited to be back in the garden. I'm not a huge, well, is anyone a huge fan of pulling weeds? But they got to be done. So the majority of these weeds, because they're in the raised beds and the soil is so loose, they came right out. But there were some that were really I needed to use the shovel to get out. So I'm pulling out little baby carrots that didn't do anything, as well as a couple of weeds that are just kind of on the surface, not too far deep. And then every now and then I get one that's just so deep. As you can see, I'm not somebody that uses gloves. I used to try to put gloves on, and then I always took them off. I just prefer using my hands. I don't know why. I break nails all the time doing this. I popped off 2 of my nails doing this today, but for some reason I just prefer to do it with my hands instead of with gloves. I skipped over the part where I actually cleaned out this bed. This bed had Swiss chard in it from last year that I actually left all winter because for the longest time, well into December, I was still harvesting Swiss chard, both for me to eat and mainly, honestly, to feed to the bunny. I'm not a massive Swiss chard fan. It's one of those things that if I didn't have something else to eat, I would eat it. But I have so much else in the garden that it was not one of my favorite things to go to. But I left it mainly because the bunny was eating it, and every now and then I took some and chopped it up and put it in something. But that got left all winter, so I already had cleaned that out. But what I'm working on here, this area was brand new to the garden last year. there were 3 fire bushes that were planted in this area and a holly bush. And the holly bush we've chopped down 2 times now and it keeps coming back. So if anyone has any ideas on how to kill a holly bush without using chemicals, I would love that. My garden is completely organic, but I feel like there's no other way to get rid of this holly bush than to use chemicals, which I refuse to do. But I at this point I don't know what else to do. I spent some time cleaning out that bed there at the corner of the screen. I need to get actually those plants into the garbage. I haven't gotten there yet, but I wanted to see how far my boxes went. I got the large boxes from Lowe's, and they do have some ink on them, but they're the best thing I could get. So I wanted to see how far I could get those to go, and I still need to get more, but I am really happy with just how big they are and how much space they take over. Cardboard does decompose really well, and it's a great way to build up your garden soil. So I want to make sure I get this whole area covered with cardboard and then soil and straw in an effort to keep down those weeds.
A lot of weeds. There are so many weeds. So I reached a point where I kind of gave up because I just have so much thistle. And in my windmill garden, right over there, thistle grows really abundantly there too. And a couple years ago I went and I pulled all of the thistle out, and within like 2 weeks it was growing again. So I know thistle grows when the earth is damaged. I just don't know how to fix the earth. Like, I don't know why the earth is damaged. I don't know. So these are big boxes I got from Lowe's. They were $3 a box, and they're huge and they're fantastic. So I didn't really know how many I needed. I'm really bad with measurements, so I got 4. And I'm not going to go out right now because right now I'm going to work on moving the trellis and stuff. But either this afternoon or tomorrow morning, I'm going to go get some more. And this whole area I do have a layer of cardboard and a layer of straw, but there's still grass growing. So I'm definitely going to get more boxes to go up this area. And then over here as well, I'm going to completely cover this whole area with boxes. And then once all my boxes are down, I'll start moving dirt and straw and the whole thing. I really hope I have enough dirt to cover this whole area, but I guess we'll see. But this is an effort to combat weeds, and hopefully it at least cuts down on them a little bit. Last year it was so awful. It was so awful. There were so many weeds that it takes away a bit of the enjoyment of my garden, because I just come out here and I'm just like, there's so many weeds. What I try to always give myself grace with, though, is Earth wants to grow. She wants to grow weeds. So I try to give myself some grace, but last year was really bad. So we're just trying to make it not as bad as last year. I have a fun find. Not fun, but fun. That bed up there, I already planned on taking that bed out and getting rid of it, because you can see all of that termite damage. Well, as I was weeding this bed came completely apart. So in addition to that bed needed replaced, this bed needs replaced, and then that bed over there that I built a couple years ago has also completely fallen apart. So that really sucks. That really sucks that I have to redo. That bed there, I don't think I'm redoing. That's where I want to put the focal point of something. I don't know what that something is. But this bed, I don't know. I need to figure out what I want to do. Do I want to make it an in-ground space, or do I want to put another box around it? Funny thing about me is I am somebody who touts the praises. I will shout from the rooftop the praises of raised bed gardens. I love them. There's so many benefits. It was a surprise to me when I realized that I am actually more of an in-ground gardener than a raised bed gardener. I don't know why, but my raised beds have basically just become for my spring things, like my beets, my carrots, my snap peas, flowers, all of my tomatoes, my peppers, all of that other stuff I put in the direct ground. So that was a surprise to me. So that's what's so fun about gardening, is you go into it with set expectations or ideas. Like, I knew I was going to be a raised bed gardener. I built the raised bed first, and the in-ground spaces came later. But the in-ground spaces have more than tripled the space, because I prefer in-ground more than I prefer raised bed. That was a surprise to me. Okay, so we got, for the most part, got the beds cleaned out. That bed I forgot to do, and that bed I forgot to do, but that's okay. We're not planting them all yet. So the problem with cleaning out beds early is, if you don't mulch them, they will regrow up with weeds. So those ones that I haven't touched are mulched. Those two are mulched, and they're still growing weeds. So I'm not worried about them right now. I don't quite know what I'm putting in them yet. I don't quite know what I'm putting in half of these beds, so I'm not quite worried about that. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the trellises moved. So this is my snap pea trellis right there, and that one I want to put up there. Last year I had such a good crop of snap peas. I'm so excited. So I've gotten the habit of moving my snap pea trellis every year, and we just get better and better harvests. So snap pea trellis is going to get moved, and the bean trellis is going to get moved.
Trellises are something that I really struggle with. I love the idea of cattle panels. If you're not familiar, cattle panels I think is one of the more common and familiar trellises that people use. And it's a cattle panel. It's what I think a lot of farmers use to fence in their animals. And did you see just Miss Fig run? She did not like this sound. But I love the idea of cattle panels, except one, when I first went to buy cattle panels, I didn't have a way to get them home, and I wasn't paying the super expensive delivery charge to get them home. And then two, now that I have a way, we have a trailer, I have a way to get them home, I haven't been able to find any cattle panels. And when I do find them, they are bent and warped or cut and small. They're not what you want to actually use for your trellises. So I've struggled to find someone that'll work. This trellis I got at Lowe's, and this actually works really good for my peas. I grow a whole bunch, probably 20 pea plants on this one trellis, and this works really well. As for my beans and my tomatoes, they're not so well. I'm still trying to figure out what's the best way to trellis. I looked at string trellises. I've looked at everything else. I used to use tomato cages. I absolutely hate tomato cages. So while I'm not a fan, especially of this bean trellis here, at least it works. It gets the job done. So I still need to figure out how I want to trellis my things, because so far I haven't found anything that really works for me. But this trellis I move every year. This is the second year I'm going to be using this bean trellis. And like I said, it did work really well last year. I got a ton of beans off of it. And it ended up being quite a bit more difficult to move. I should learn to wait for help, and I never do. I'm always like, let's do this now. And then we just drag it out of the screen. So I knew I wanted to put it on the back of the fence. Or along the fence. I thought it would fit well, but it ended up actually being a little too long. So I had to kind of finagle it to get it to work in this space. But I wanted to put it against against the fence. And then in front of this trellis, I'm going to plant my potatoes. And since this isn't really a good space, it's not a good growing space yet, the ground is really kind of just dirt, roots, dry, not very good. I thought this would be a perfect place to put beans as we work up that soil and make that soil better. This will just be a kind of a good place to put these beans, because they don't require a ton of nutrients or a ton of soil for them to grow. I struggled immensely with leaving the fence attached to the fence post. I thought it would be a good idea, and it clearly wasn't. And Miss Fig, the entire time I'm doing this, is hiding behind her hutch. I'm just checking on her because she hated the sound. And it is loud, I do get it, and you see me here contemplating all of my life choices. So I decided to go through and I cut everything. It wasn't getting as tight as I needed it to be, just again because of the space. I can't have it stretched out as long as it was. And to be honest, after growing everything on it last year, it did start to sag pretty early into the growing season. So I needed to redo it anyway. So all I have is just T-posts, fencing, and zip ties. And that's how I keep this puppy attached. And you'll see I don't start the trellis at the ground. I'm starting in about a foot and a half 1.5 feet off the ground. And the reason for that is when beans sprout, they actually start pretty tall. So when they first get started, they can grow unassisted. And then as they start to get tall and long, then I'll start guiding them onto this trellis. But they don't need any sort of trellising there at the ground. You can start your trellising high, and that's a good way to save your trellising space because the beans will get tall. My beans do outgrow this trellis, and at that point, just kind of like lay over the trellis. And it is what it is. Again, it's not an ideal system. One day I hope to have an ideal bean trellis. I hope to have a better plan. But for right now, this is what we have, and it is what it is. So I'm just securing this with some more zip ties, and this will work for this year.
Okay, that did not work out as planned, but we got her up, and it looks like Miss Figgy has put herself back home. She's ready to go home, which is perfect timing because I am done for now. Hi, Figgy. I love you. It is starting to get warm out here. I think I need to go put a t-shirt on. But we've been out here for like 2 hours, and we got the first part of my day, what I wanted to get accomplished. And I think this video is probably getting a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it here. But it's a gorgeous day. I got hot dogs out of the freezer. I'm going to go put a t-shirt on. I'm going to grill some hot dogs and make some of my baked beans for my lunch. I'm going to grill it all outside because it's such a pretty day. And then we'll be back and we'll set up the green stalk, we'll set up the lettuce tower. And I think there was something else I want to do today, but I don't remember what. I need to get these beds out of here. Those beds need to go away. But we got the trellises moved, we got the weeds pulled. Figured out I need to make another bed because it's rotten. So yeah, I think it's been a good morning so far. So I'm gonna go grill up some lunch, and I'll see you guys next time, and that'll be setting up the green stalk. I just ordered my strawberries for the green stalk today, so they should be here soon. But I am just overjoyed. I'm overjoyed. I'm so excited to be back in this garden and harvesting my own food again. It's so excited. Okay, I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye, friends.